Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be going over the importance of check-ins and why we go through the check-in process and how it's going to benefit you of achieving your goal and your final destination of where you want to be at. So if it's losing a certain amount of weight to gain muscle, just to feel more confident in the gym, why is check-in process important? We'll be going through all the main factors and how to maximize the check-in process to make sure that you are actually taking full advantage of the check-in. So going forward, the first reason for making sure that we go through the check-in process is accountability. So accountability of your week, making sure that we are taking responsibility of how your week's going, making sure that we can trust in each other of what we're saying, making sure we're keeping a culture of accountability, and making sure we're using this essential tool to keep yourself at a high performance and building a better relationship, eliminating any surprises and improving overall happiness in your progress, in the plan, in any issues that are arising, and making sure we're getting any issues resolved over that week. If that's nutrition, training, etc., etc., etc. If there's anything we need to do to try and resolve that, and we will just overlook the whole week. So, number one, accountability. Number two, honesty. So, making sure we're being honest. If you're struggling with anything, for me being the coach, I need to make sure that we're having any problems being resolved and making sure that you're having the utmost positive experience during this process as being your coach. So making sure that everything's going well for you. So if that's maybe, for example, a certain exercise that you're struggling with, if that's you're not sure of the technique, or there's an issue like sleep or something that's making the journey and the process too difficult, or it's not enjoyable, we need to go over these problems and making sure that we got a resolution for this problem going forward, and making sure that the process is pretty much as easy as it can be, and making sure it's adherable, and making sure that we're not making it too difficult for ourselves, and making sure it's actually maintainable during that phase. So that phase of nutrition, that phase of training, whatever, making sure that we are going over the whole week and making sure if there is any issues, we're going over it and making sure we're making it as transparent as possible, and being making sure that we're going to resolutions of those problems. Expectations. So making sure that we're meeting the expectations set from either myself or yourself of how that week's going. So if you're saying, if we've went through the week and we've set some aims and objectives for you to adhere to, we need to go through the process of, have you met them standards or exceeded those standards? If so, give some positive recognition of completing that. And making sure if you're failing to meet them standards, why is that, and try and find a resolution for that. So in the past, in personal training, it's been very common practice for giving consequences for that issue, which is something that I don't have in my practice, as I don't think it's a very effective method of consequences. Actually, we need to discuss the problem and making sure that we come with resolutions to that problem, rather than being consequences for something that you may not have the answer for. And we don't want to go in vicious circles instead of making just a negative experience of the situation. Actually, what can we do to fix it? And how are we going to address this problem, and how are we going to do that moving forward, and making sure it's progressive in nature, and making sure that we're improving each week with your expectations, and making sure we're moving forward to that end goal. Progress, measuring progress, the last one, making sure that we are progressing towards your end goal, and making sure that we are keeping accountable of that progress on each week. So what can we do to do that is making sure we're weighing ourselves, we're making sure we're taking progress pictures, making sure we've got an objective and subjective view of that, and making sure that we're staying accountable to that each week, and that's going to deem the most results with that. So it's a lot of people will often neglect the check-in process, which is actually they're not getting the most progress for what they could achieve if they could go over in more detail in the check-in process. So what we're looking for is as much information in detail over the check-in process to make sure that we're going over any problems and looking for solutions in this process. So that is the reason why, that is the last slide, I was just double checking. That is the reason why we need to make sure that we are checking it in with in-depth detail and making sure that we are going over the check-in process every Wednesday. We're making sure, or Saturday if you're an online client, and making sure we're going in depth detail to make sure that we're progressing week on week, instead of making sure that we're not missing check-ins or we're starting to neglect any progress that we have made. So this is why the check-in process is so important. It's one of the most important parts of the week. So with this, I'm going to keep you to a high standard of making sure that we're going in with in-depth detail within the check-in period, and making sure we can do this to the utmost of your standard and try and get as much detail as possible. So this is why the check-in process is so important. It's just has so many benefits. So it's really important. So going forward, we're going to keep ourselves to a high standard, and this is why the check-in process is so important. Have a great day. I hope this video is beneficial for you all, and making sure that going forward we keep it to a high standard of your check-in process, which you may already been doing. So, but it's just going over the same point of making sure that we are. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.